Heya, ani, bonjour, kwe, greetings. It's Catherine here from Moonstarlodge in Central Ontario, bringing you our Indigenous perspective on the week of December 12th to 18th, getting frighteningly close to solstice and Christmas and New Year's, aren't we? All right, so I looked through my decks and I was looking for anything to do with Yule and Christmas. We celebrate solstice, so Yule is appropriate. And I found precisely 3 decks out of almost 1,500 that related to this. And so I sat for a bit and talked with Brian about bringing in some other larger cards to focus on, because the one deck, the Nightmare Before Christmas, really didn't, to me, make a serious enough possible set of perspectives for this week to come, because the energies are building. You know, we're coming to the end of this 12th moon cycle of Gives Praise Woman, and we have a little bit of a time slip from solstice to the next new moon, which is the first moon of the year. And as I grab my sheets here to give you some specifics, we're just about here on the medicine wheel. This is winter solstice, and winter solstice is the longest amount of dark, and it's the time when we call upon the star people, that we sit with the ancestors in celebration. And in celebrating with them, we ask them for their advice and their support, and offer them our gratitude for what they bring to our lives and all they have done. The full moon that we just had was, you know, the middle of that cycle. So the actual new moon for the new year is December 23rd, and that brings in talks with relations. Thank you. So let's talk about the decks I'm using. For the main one, I'm using the Sacred Web. I'm going to be doing a video for the holiday period that discusses this deck. This is one of the most beautiful decks I've ever encountered. I've never used it in a reading before. I didn't know about it, but it is fabulous, and we'll get into that in that video. I'm using a Christmas Tarot, which is a majors only deck, kind of Victorian themed. I'm using the multi-dimensional divas to give us some perspectives on a kind of a shamanic approach to the 11 dimensions. Seasons of the Witch, Yule, the aforementioned Nightmare Before Christmas, the Marigold Tarot, which is my default for ancestor work, and the Influence of the Angels Tarot by Radley Valentine. Those of you who've taken courses with me or know my history will remember that angels were the first spirit being I encountered as a child, and they have stayed with me. And although I get a little bit of what Colette Baron-Reid calls spiritual narcolepsy, I'm aware of them on a daily basis, and it's, you know, I get slack in my communication with them. I don't usually bring angel cards into these readings, but it is the right time of year to include them as starseed, and that's important. So let's go to the cards, Brian. So this is the Sacred Web Tarot here. And then I have one each from, this is the Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the Angels Tarot. This is the Christmas Majors Only. This is the Marigold Tarot for Ancestors. This is the Yule, Seasons of the Witch Yule. And this is the Multidimensional Divas. So let's start here. And we'll bring in the supporting information from the oracles a little bit later. So we start the week with the Nine of Cups, and cups have been a theme in this past few weeks, so I find this very interesting. We have the Nine of Cups telling us that we have this glorious sense of fulfillment and bringing things together, and we can be proud of what we've accomplished. We can give praise, as Give Praise Woman would have us do, to our family and our association. And remembering that this is a collective reading, so this may not apply to everyone, but the overarching energies that we can tap into is one of looking with gratitude at whatever it is we've accomplished. And this is emotional, it's water, so it's the part of us that speaks to our soul and to spirit and to the sacred web. It's followed by the one, or what would be in another deck, the Ace of Cups. And this is about the beginnings, if you will, the incubation of a new emotional journey. So we're at the end of one, and we've got the beginning of another here. And that's an important thing to look at, the positivity of creating some new emotions for this season. This season can be very hard on people, and perhaps even if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, it's time to reframe how you come into the holidays if they are difficult for you. This is the Three of Wands, and this warthog here is very clearly on a new journey. And the emotions, the primal beginning, incubating emotions, are supporting this new journey with a fierceness. There's obviously a ferocity to this great beast. What we get out of this during the week is the awakening. Now, this would normally in an old-timey deck be judgment, but in this deck, this is an awakening. This is saying to assess how you find yourself, the I am essence, if you want to get into concepts of the Mahatma. This is the I am. This is forgiving. Forgiving self and forgiving others. That's an important way that we reframe in this new beginning how we cope with the season, particularly if we're alone or are disconnected from family, community, that sort of thing. The Two of what would be Pentacles in a regular deck is the juggling act. And so this is about maintaining balance, making sure that we're on top of things in all parts of our lives, financially particularly, that we're not overspending, not overdoing it. But this is as much about our human physical energy, to not overextend our energy, to put some boundaries around ourselves and say, do we really have to go to that extra party? Do we really have to make the canapé tray from scratch, or can we order one from a deli? It's the kind of like, what's real? Let's get real, and let's not fall into fantasy expectations, which comes here with the Moon card. By the end of the week, we're experiencing going from the Nine of Cups to the Ten of Cups, and this beautiful whale exalting in pure joy, absolute completion, and a sense of perfection. And what's interesting here is we end the week with the Ace of Feathers, which is in another deck, the Ace of Swords. So it's a new intellectual perspective. So we've got the emotion, and it's healthy emotion, because we've gained new perspectives here. And I'm going to talk more about these cards in a moment. But let's go to the supporting cards. So I'm using some of these tarocles in an oracular fashion to support what the main line says. And interestingly enough, from the Nightmare Before Christmas, we get exactly the same card. So in this deck, it's called the Two of Presents, as in gifts. And it's asking us to balance, to juggle, to be aware of the amount of time and energy we're spending on ourselves and on others and on internalized, perhaps false, perhaps old expectations of the season. This is followed by the Moon card, and the Moon card is wonderful about getting to the inner depths. And I'm going to talk about this card more in relation to the last card in a few minutes. But the moon is about the nighttime. We're entering the longest night period, so we will be having a new moon to help us with this period. So we're moving toward that. The new moon is about getting into our shadow aspects, which is the realistic expectations, and having the strength to reframe a new emotional journey around the season. So the moon card is pivotal here for a couple of reasons. Again, I'll get to that. This card is the strength card. So strength is an internal thing. Strength is not borrowing anything from anyone else. This is about finding the space within to manifest what it is that you need. And that's directly above this card, which is manifesting this new direction. The High Priestess is the ancestor card, and the High Priestess is the one in the major arcana that works with the moon, calls down the mysteries of the moon in its spiritual essence, and maneuvers and works with it and alchemizes it to create, where it sits above is this awakening. So this awakening has a moon-like essence here as well. We need to come from a place of gratitude about everything. Gratitude for who we are and what we've accomplished, whether we're an individual or within a family. Gratitude because this is Gives Praise Woman for this whole endeavor, this new journey, the ability to reframe if you need to, where you're going with this season. And I come to this last card, and I actually asked Brian to douse to make sure that this card was really appropriate for this reading, because I misshuffle. I have rheumatoid arthritis and I drop cards easily. This card is number 35 in the Multidimensional Divas deck by Scylla Conway. And this spirit being, this diva, is trying to pull together the flesh over a gaping wound of the solar plexus and the heart, trying to breathe the light into this dark and wounded space. These are wounds representing something that's preventing this diva from moving through what she needs to do in order to reclaim and feel wholeness. So the Strength card speaks to finding the strength to bring the light into the gaping wounds that we have, to allow the essence of the moon through the High Priestess with gratitude and with a dogged determination here, to finally, once and for all, no matter how old we are, feel gratitude and to feel a sense of forgiveness. This card is about forgiveness. So forgiveness doesn't mean that you agree with something that's been done to you or around you. You don't approve of it, But what you're saying is, I forgive you so that I can free myself. So these are letting go of our own ghosts of Christmases and holidays past, our own ghosts of what has hurt us and what has dimmed our light. You can turn the camera, Brian. So that's a gobsmacker of a reading, but it is appropriate. As a counselor, an elder, and a professional healer, we've dealt for so many years with people who come from a wounded place and have difficulty moving past that. But you have to remember, if you can, that repeating the old stories just keeps layering the cement into your own field and on your own soul, and keeps you disconnected from what your spirit, your soul, your source is capable of taking you to. So don't shut the door on yourself. Do your best, and if you need help, reach out. Anyway, miigwech, Nyawen, and thank you. If you liked this reading, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll be putting some other content out that's not related to specifically readings, but assessments of new decks and that sort of thing. In the description down below, below this reading, you'll find a link to coffee if you'd like to send along a little Christmas coffee cheer. I will always welcome that, and I welcome your comments. So be blessed. Till next time. Aho.